Welcome to Fantasy Hotline,
where we talk about your wildest fantasies.
elves, dragons, terrifying amounts of cleavage, and old dowagers. Magic.
We're your hosts,
Claire.
and I'm Chris.
And this week we're reading
Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie.
I was going to make such a cheesy joke about how it's not about some sort of food that's better hot.
It's not about cold cuts. Cutting is involved.
There's so much cutting in this, and not the goth kind.
So this movie, it's pretty cinematic. It's one of my favorite books. It's a one-off, and we weren't supposed to read it in the order that we read it. It's the fourth book in the series, but it's after a trilogy that is pretty closely, everything's linked in the trilogy, and then there's a one-off where and that's how I got into this series. This author, Joe Abercrombie, was like
reading a one-off.
I picked up this book, and there are some things where you're like, okay, I'm missing a little bit of a piece of that, but it's kind of what we were talking about last episode, where it's like hard versus soft world building. I just thought when I was reading it, I was like, oh, it's just kind of some world building that we don't get to know about right now. Like he talks about, like Shivers is talking about like the Bloody Nine and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we'll get into that. But so it's a one-off. It's one of 9 books he's written in this world.
So he's written all 9 already?
And the 9th is coming out in September 2021, and he's pretty open, and he's kind of a machine about his writing. Like he doesn't release a trilogy until all 3 are written. Like
that's really satisfying.
He doesn't do the George R.R. Martin 5th book and good luck with the rest. Yeah, we'll have a TV show ruin it.
I just think we need to talk about his author picture.
Okay, yeah.
Before we talk about the book. So if you haven't seen it, he's in a suit and he's staring directly at you, and his hands are crossed, his fingers are pointed, he's resting. Yeah. He's going. It's like
he looks like he's
like a little bit of a knockoff James Bond villain.
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. He looks like maybe like an evil professor that you're trying to explain something that you think you're understanding, and he's like, but do you?
Or your high school, like your old high school friend who's like, hey, I'm selling houses now.
Yeah.
And sending you Facebook messages.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't live in the suburbs anymore, Mark.
Yeah, your friend who's just like really grinded all the way to the top.
Yeah. He's posting on LinkedIn all the time.
He's got a bit of a smarmy thing to him, and I've heard interviews with him, and he is funny. He's like but he's kind of a smart ass.
He's from Bath, England.
Yeah, he's from Bath.
He's from Bath. I've been
Bath.
there.
Have you?
Yes, well, my dad is British.
Oh, is he from
Big reveal.
Is he from
my
Bath?
Dad is British.
That makes this podcast legit.
Yeah. Fish and chips. No, he's kind of from all over. They moved around a lot because my grandfather was in the Royal Air Force from World War II on. He's a knight.
The RAF, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a knight?
Yeah, he's a knight.
Whoa.
Yeah, put some respect in your tone, sir.
I will. My lady. I'm so sorry.
No, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
I don't know how anything works.
I inherit nothing.
I'm an American.
Yeah, there you go.
My dad is a dentist. and his dad
Honestly,
was an engineer.
That's cool. Yeah. I got a root canal this morning.
Oh, really?
Speaking of dentists.
This morning?
Yeah.
How's your mouth?
I actually feel okay. I look normal. The Novocaine wore off, but they have TVs, in dentists.
Sure, and like the little glasses?
No, it was just like a big
you?
TV.
Right.
But I wanted to have something relaxing, so I put on a nature documentary, but it was like every time the drill would go down, it'd be like, this baby seal will starve to death in hours. Like, and I was like, oh no. I was like,
my tooth.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
my tooth,
okay,
the seal, my tooth.
Yeah. The cruel ocean will not give up her prey. Like, noted. Okay, so this book, I've never read this author before.
Yeah.
This is a Chris pick. And I mean, I guess I'll save it for when we talk through the book, but
yeah.
I was like this would not be something I would normally pick up and read, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's what you would call the grim dark, I believe, is what his... And
how would you define that?
Just like, so it's definitely fantasy. There's like little sprinklings of magic in there, but there's no like, you don't get the feeling that everything's great in the world. Like a lot of fantasy novels are like, isn't this a magical, wonderful place? Like, yes, the evil is here, but we're here to drive off the evil for good. And this, there's the good guy is a bad person. The main bad guy is just really human and scared and vulnerable, and like it's just there's no winners. I think Grimdark and in Grimdark and his books really, especially, you kind of leave every book going, well, who won? Like, who's the good guy? Am I even happy with the outcome? Like, there's no, it's just outcomes. There's no.
Yeah, and this book especially, I mean, should we just get into talking about it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like Renaissance, or not Renaissance, because actually no one's making art. Everyone's getting murdered. But
there was art. There's a bunch of art.
Yeah, there's actually art kind of features throughout. He's always saying like, oh, the painting was slashed.
Yeah.
Or like someone's impaled through the painting, or someone dies on the tapestry or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like in Italy, maybe post-Renaissance or something like that, in like a warring states.
Like different city-states fighting each other all the time. And
it starts off, basically, there's this, her name is Monscaro Mercato.
Yeah.
And her brother and her are riding up to basically the palace, the summer retreat of the most powerful duke in Italy, which is called Styria in this world.
Okay, side note, honestly, this is embarrassing to admit, it was hard for me to take all the Italian names that seriously. Yeah. Like
Fantasama.
Yeah!
And they rode the hill up to Fantasama.
And like Nicola Cosca.
Monscaro Mercato.
Yeah.
Duke Orso.
It's like I would buy his pasta. I would buy his dried pasta.
Duke Orsos. It's twisting a mustache. Yeah. It's so good, you will die for it.
So there was like that hump I had to get over.
Yeah, he definitely is. So he's a British author, and his main stuff is the main trilogies. Both of them take place in like the England of his world.
I see.
Which is called the Union, and we hear about it. It's kind of on in the sides. But yeah, so it starts off with a mercenary, and this place Styria. Every summer, they just all go to war with each other. That just seems to be the deal. There's mercenaries running around. There's a bunch of dukes. There's one duke that used to be like a league, and they were all in it together.
Yeah.
And they would kind of have their little petty squabbles. But every war seemed kind of maybe like sanctioned or.
It just kind of seemed like that was the stasis. Like, oh, we're gonna go raid this border. Oh, we're not protecting our borders. And then Duke Orso like,
broke the League of 8 or League of 9 and was like, you know what, he basically set goals to become the king of Styria and make sure there's no more dukes, and he would be the guy. And his main general was Monza, who's our main character.
So when we meet Monza and her brother Benna, they are off to tell Duke Orso about another win. They're crushing it. They're like, we're just gonna chill with Duke Orso. And I mean, we gotta address this. The first 30 pages between Benna and Monza, I was like, they are having sex.
They are flirting with each other, yeah.
I was like, my brother does not and then and then they drop at their brothers, and I'm like,
so like, well, they're just ribbing each other maybe.
You're like, I'm like, my brother's never bought me a ruby ring.
Yeah, an interesting way.
And I'm okay with that.
They have an interesting relationship for sure.
And so Benna that was interesting for me, because I was like, okay, they're incestuous, or this is just how they are.
It was a little seed.
It's unclear.
It's a seed planted, yeah. And they get up there, and they're greeted by like basically the 7 most important men to Duke Orso's retinue, or his power. Like, so it's his 7 closest people.
It's his boys.
Yeah. And basically, do you want to say?
Yeah. So I mean, I also like this because when you read the back of the book, they're like betrayed, left alone. So you're like, oh my god, they're gonna kill them.
Yeah.
And so they're having a normal time chatting about all like the children they killed in the different little cities, and then they stab Ario, I think.
Yep, Prince Ario
stabs Benna, and Gaba, I was gonna call him the security guard.
Yeah, that's he's like the head of his security. He's the big bodyguard.
they just try to start killing them, and it's a really drawn out. Like, I mean, you really get a tone for the book in the way he talks about the violence being inflicted and the blood. And
Benna gets stabbed through the chest.
Every artery.
Yeah, it's like real. He gets stabbed a bunch. It's real neat, and everyone's matter of fact about it. And there's no it's not really even tragic. Well, it is tragic.
Well,
for
you're
her.
Sad, but you're like, but it's clear that Benna never stood a chance. You're kind of like, oh my god, sweet little Benna just got offed. And then Monza,
she gets choked, her hand stamped on, and then she gets thrown down a mountain,
lands on her
brother.
Body.
And so this is an opening chapter that's pretty long, and it's called Benna Mercato Saves a Life.
And it's because his corpse shielded her from the fall.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
So this was kind of fun, because you're like, okay, this is terrible, but now she's about to go off.
Yeah. So she gets rescued by some weirdo.
Yeah, Bone Man.
Who's immediately real creepy and you're like, okay, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. And she gets out of there. And at this point we're also introduced to probably the sub main character, Shivers.
Yeah.
And he's a Northman who's gone to Styria to make himself a better person.
Be a better man. Okay, so what I thought was interesting is I kind of read this chunk and put it down, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna go through a book with like a disabled heroine. Like she gets this creepy guy like mends her bones, but she's all these scars. She has pain. She's addicted to whatever they husk. It's like
which is basically heroin.
Yeah, she's smoking opium for the pain. And we'll talk about this more maybe later on. But what I thought was interesting is that she's referenced her pain all the time, but it actually never impacts her in a way where she can do anything.
She just
can't do anything.
Grins and bears it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of thought she clearly carries these emotional wounds, but I thought we were going to be set up for a little bit more like dealing with like what does it mean to be like this. You were physically able, now you're not. And it's like, oh, she's actually perfect at fighting with her left hand like the next time she fights.
That's
and
interesting.
You miss that.
Yeah.
He doesn't really tell you that. But obviously the emotional weight of what's going on in the character's minds pretty did not read. Yeah, it was bad, but it didn't really read as his focus as an author. Because like my first note, I was like, okay, we have a disabled heroine. Like maybe it'll just be about finding her agency, blah blah blah. And it's like, nope, she's the best.
She's got plenty of agency.
And like her disability. I mean, I kind of feel like I wanted to see a little more of like how her recovery was or whatever. Like, what's the point of making the hero get so fucked up if
nothing? Yeah.
If like every man's still just like, damn, she's hot as hell,
hot and really can sword fight.
Yeah. It's like it seemed like it didn't really actually affect her, except causing her to want to have revenge, and like her pinky fingers really fucked up.
Her hand was I think so. In the first trilogy, they mention him shortly in the book. They call him the Cripple. Right, and he's one of the POV characters in the first 3 books that he writes, and he was the best swordsman in the Union, and then got tortured and lost his foot and lost like a bunch of his teeth, and like he was kept in a box, so his back is all like fucked up. So for the first 3 books, he writes pretty intense like about a disabled main character.
Interesting.
So maybe because this is his 4th book. Maybe he was like, you know what? All right, I've done it again. Like I've made another.
Damn.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm writing about another like limping person all the time, and like maybe he.
But look, that's just my perspective.
I get you.
That was my expectation versus what happened. Doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, no, I get you. But she's definitely an addict and is hobbled a bit. She always talks about how she's trying to not limp and stuff like that.
We see it through her perspective.
Yeah.
Like she's clearly feeling it.
Yeah. So basically, she meets Shivers. Shivers is down on her luck.
Okay, we gotta talk about how the North people are named.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, what's next? Iceberg? Like
Yeah. So the Northmen are given names. They're like, you have your name. His name is Caul. C-A-U-L, like Paul with a C. And then you're given like a name after you do something, like a nickname basically.
And they're all winter themed, which is like there's got to be like 18 like snows running around.
Yeah,
like,
that's very true.
200 ices.
Yeah. And there's like a couple, like they talk about the Northmen that are mentioned are like Greylock.
Yeah.
The Bloody Nine. Or he's also
3 trees.
Yeah, 3 trees. Black Dow. The Dog Man.
The Dog Man is like, that's cool. If I had to pick one, I'd be like, yeah, you can call me the Dog Man.
Yeah. Well, so Shivers is down on his luck.
Yeah, Shivers is our like morally trying desperately
to be a moral compass.
Yes.
And so they meet, and then she was like, I need you to go to Sajan, who's like basically kind of like a fence or like a gangster of some kind.
Get you whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, and he owns like a gambling house, and so she sends Shivers into there because she can't go, and then we're introduced to our like 3rd member of her crew of people who's friendly.
Yes, so she's kind of like assembling her little motley crew, like Ocean's 11 style, to kill the 7 men who were there when her and her brother were murdered, and no one knows she's alive.
No one. And then so Friendly joins the team, and so there's Shivers, the Northman who wants to be better. There's Friendly, who's quite clearly
he's
autistic or on the spectrum, heavily obsessed with numbers. All he thinks about is numbers, and numbers calm him down. And he's a convict.
Yes.
And man, so the first chapter, one of my favorite chapters in the book is like 7 and 1 is what it's called, I think, or like sevens maybe. And but basically it's or 6 and 1. 6 and so
when he's rolling the dice.
Yeah,
initially.
so it's friendly, and it's when they kill Gobber. And so like when he shows up, friendly's like Gobber.
Oh, is it 6s?
No, that's too late in the book. 6s is when. Anyway, so they kill Gobber, and it's just like a really well written, like well rounded chapter. Like he's like 6 times. She's like, what? And he's like, with the hammer.
So he's like, counting the whole time.
Yeah, and so they kill Gobber. He's the Gaba. Sorry.
I like that. I just was waiting for you to realize it's Gaba, but Gobber.
Yeah, Gobber. I just listened to it instead of reading it this time, and it's read by a British guy. So whenever they're like Gaba, I'm like, that's an ER. Yeah. So they kill Gaba, and it's pretty brutal.
Oh my god, yeah. Reading this, I was like, okay, like, am I gonna be able to finish this book? I'm a little sensy. And yeah, so this was like so much gore for me. But I thought it was really true to what you were saying, calling it grimdark or whatever, because it's like not this heroic, like it's almost pathetic the way that she kills him. And she's like, it's like disgusting because it's like drawn out, and she's like, ew, and
she like tries to pretend like she's enjoying it,
but she doesn't. Like right off the bat, she's like, already like, her revenge is already feeling bad. Yeah. And then I thought this was a really interesting kind of juxtaposition, because the way that he writes his characters from like their POV is like so different. So you see like what Shivers thinks of what's happening, what Gaba thinks, or no, not Gaba, what Friendly thinks, and then it's like really at odds with how Monza feels about it, which is like, oh my god, I'm like fucking this up. Like this doesn't even feel good. And I thought that was really fun.
But to Shivers, she's like trying to put on a show, and he's like, she looked like she enjoyed that. Like and that freaks him out at the beginning. He's like, I'm out. I don't want to do this.
But she's hot, remember? She's
hot, and she offers him more money than he's ever seen in his life. Because he's poor from the north. They don't really do money up there. They just you're just kind of like they're very tribal and like clan like.
I know. I wanted to know more about the north. And
the first series is big in the north. And the next one-off is it's called The Heroes.
You're giving me homework.
Yeah, I am. That's this whole podcast is homework.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of homework I've always wanted.
I know, right? Now I'm the teacher.
Well, so all right, so they move on from Gaba, and we're introduced to kind of the beginning of her crew. Yeah. And her and Shivers go to recruit the next member of the crew, which is Malthus.
No, Morveer.
Yeah, Morveer. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Malthus
is who they're killing. Yeah. They go and recruit Morveer, who's a poisoner, and he immediately does
poisons
what poisoners do, and he poisons them.
Yeah, I would say that like the way the moral universe is here, it's like very little shifts.
Oh yeah.
Everyone is, even with a semblance of internal struggles that some of the characters go through. It's like, oh, you're a poisoner? Well, let's have him, I don't know, poison someone within like the first 3 paragraphs. Like, it's like, you're a baker, here's a sandwich. Yeah. Right off the bat.
You're a Northman, split this dude's head in 2. Yeah, convict, stab a guy 6 times, count it the whole time. Yeah, that was one of the things in 6 and 1, that chapter. He splits one guy's head open with a cleaver and then stabs another dude 6 times, and then he goes 6 and 1.
Oh my god! Is that the voice they give him on the podcast?
In the podcast, it's the way they act him is so incredible. They make him like this like flat, emotionless person.
God.
Like he's like 6 times, and they're like, what? He's like, with the hammer.
Oh my god!
Like, and they're like, are you a warrior? He's like, I am a convict and a murderer.
Wow, I didn't imagine him talking like that at all.
Yeah, they keep him
really
like
funny.
They flatten brick. He sounds like a brick.
I kind of imagine Friendly as being hot.
Oh, okay.
But like, because his name is Friendly.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's obviously a joke. He's
like
not friendly.
Kind of like that mugshot that went viral of the dude who's just gorgeous.
Oh, he's married to the heiress of Topshop now.
Oh, good for him.
He is so rich.
Nice. God, talk about landing on your feet.
I mean, yeah.
He gets arrested for like something like trespassing and like a horrible or whatever, and then he's just like, yeah. this heiress thought I was hot.
Everyone's like, he's so hot.
I know.
And people were saying that he was just in it for the money, but I think they're still together.
Oh, well, anyway, so Friendly's hot.
Yeah, this is a perfect intersection of pop culture and autistic convicts murdering people.
This is what this podcast is about.
If I'm going to get canceled, I hope it's not for that sentence.
No, I don't think so. That's just what was written. If anyone should be canceled, it's Friendly.
Yeah, it's Friendly's canceled for murdering people. He's a murderer.
So they meet up with Morveer, who's like one of the more notorious poisoners in Styria, and he's got an assistant named Day.
I loved Day.
Yeah, she's like kind of a child, like.
Yeah, he's like, she's beautiful, like a baby.
Yeah, she's this unassuming, teenager. I imagined her.
Yeah.
And yeah, some like orphan that he picked up, or who knows. So he's kind of got his foibles of wants to be respected, but he's feared because any gift he gives is like a weapon. He wants to be seen as like generous and intelligent and all these things. So they bring him on the crew and they go to Westport to kill Malthus, who was there, and he was the banker.
Yeah. So
and this was kind of when you get the grips of like, okay, Monza's just going to kill everybody. Like,
yeah, he didn't even want
to be there.
He was just kind of there, but he didn't stop it. But I do want to say, Day's like character trait to me that I loved was how she's always eating.
Oh yeah,
like he's just like, okay, what can I give this girl? Always has a pastry, and it's like that's the kind of commitment when you're living in this hellish world of like, yeah, I'd always want to have a Danish too.
Yeah, she's just like they're like in an attic about to like blow dart someone, and there's like, are you eating a peach right now?
And she's like, I'm hungry.
Oopsies.
Sorry. I didn't bring the poison.
That's exactly how they read her in the book.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. She's kind of got like this like high-pitched French accent.
Oops, I ate.
I was hungry.
Oh, bonjour. Bonjour, I will kill this man.
Pardon, it's an apple.
It's an apple.
So anyway, they go in and they find this bank, and they try to they do a couple attempts at poisoning him during the day. It doesn't work. Then they send Shivers to climb in.
Okay, question.
This is a funny chapter.
Before I get it, did you think that I thought Morveer was just gonna give them poison, and then he would do it. No, not. I thought he was like Monza's gonna buy poison from him, or he would just go off and do it. I didn't know he'd be so hands on. Yeah. I thought that was a really fun surprise.
Yeah. So they bring him into the crew.
Yeah, he's active.
Ocean's 11 again.
Exactly.
We're on to the next one. You want to come?
Slow mo. Chris is physically running back and forth in the studio
in slow motion.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's really fast. Anyway, so they go. Shivers, you talked to me about this chapter.
Yeah, I was kind of texting Chris a lot about this chapter.
Yeah, this is a funny one. Yeah.
Do you want to say why?
Well, all right. So he mentions Shivers it's a point of view of Shivers, and he's climbing up a building, and he talks about his balls the whole time.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things where it's like, okay, we've got the carnage, we've got all this stuff, this is hardcore, and yet every time we talk about balls, we're calling them fruits.
Yeah, he's like, and I'm up there with me fruits in the wind.
Me fruits in the wind, and I might smash my fruits and smear my fruits against my leg, and oh no, my fruits.
And then he's like, at one point, going over a statue, and he's like, it'd been a while since Shivers had a lady's face in his fruits. And
it was on the page 8 times.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I think that's the one. There's a funny tweet from Joe Abercrombie where someone just calls this book a masterpiece, and he's like, how can you call it a masterpiece when I said the word fruits 8 times in a page?
I like that he's self-aware.
Oh, he's very, and he if there's anything he does, every time I've listened to a podcast or interview of his, he makes fun of himself the whole time. He's like, I can't believe these are even people are taking I'm just trying to write fantasy that's not fantasy. What does that even? So yeah, anyway, he's very funny, I think, throughout the book. There's
I think so
moments
too.
of super funny parts.
Yeah, and he when we get to Casca in Sapani, which will happen in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I loved that brought the levity that I could then continue to not want to be think about
it's dark
all
and
the
dark
murder.
and dark. So yeah, this one ends. They go and they kill Malthus, and it's super dark. It's they mass murder this whole bank. They poison every ledger in the bank.
Yeah, Morveer's absolutely a psychopath.
Yeah. Morveer's, it's revealed through his internal monologue that he just the number doesn't matter. He just wants to get the job done.
Yeah.
And he wants the money, and he also likes his own legend a lot.
He's obsessed with his legacy.
He wants to leave. He's like, Castor Morveer, the best poisoner in Styria. All this. So then,
but you also hear we get the first hint of Monza's conscience being expressed publicly. So she's
almost
really
goes
upset.
and kills Morveer after this happens, and Morveer's like, whoa, like
why do you care?
You didn't say I couldn't kill everybody.
And also he's like, everyone keeps calling her the Butcher of Capril. Capril, is that okay?
Yeah.
Because that was like a city that she defeated, and then instead of letting them surrender,
She killed everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
All the mercenaries ran in and like killed and pillaged and raped everybody, and so everyone's like, she is
bad.
So
Yeah.
he's like, okay, why do you care? You killed babies.
Yeah, you've killed the whole town, and she's like, she's kind of got like a reputation to stick to, so she's like, well, fine, and then so then they move on to kill the next person on their list, and they go
Prince
to
Ario.
Yeah, they go to Sepani, and they're trying to kill Ario and Foscar, his brother.
And this is like the Venice, I would say, right? Like masquerades and blah blah blah. And excuse me, I had to burp. I just had to do it. I couldn't hold it in. This is part of the canon.
It's a party city, so Claire got drunk to
I'm
talk about
blacked
Sepani. Yeah, it's like a big party city. Like it's like Venice and Amsterdam. I feel like all rolled into one. It's a bunch of canals, and but then like the mist and like
by the third page, it's like every character's like, did you know there's fog?
Yeah. So it's this foggy little party city, and they're having a big meeting of the minds. Like all of the League of Eight are coming to discuss something, and it's like a fake play for diplomacy. Yeah. They're all trying to stall Orso, essentially. It's a summit, and the king of the Union is there, and he's Orso's son-in-law. Orso's daughter is the queen of the Union. They're married. So the king of the Union is there with his wife, who's Ario's sister. Yes, there's a lot of like Always Sunny in the mailroom with yarn, like losing my mind moment here. So who's and who's. I was like, we pick a lot of books where there's just a ton of characters. I love it. Yeah. So anyway, their plan is to throw a party, because Ario's like a well-known party hound, where they basically disguise themselves as the entertainment in a brothel, in the best brothel in town, Cardati's. So Monza and we're introduced to two more characters here. Ooh, I loved Shiloh Vitari, who's a torturer. Yeah, she was a torturer for the Union. That's why they talk about the cripple. She used to work for the cripple. Okay, I forgot. She's a minor character in the first 3 books. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's always fun when they come back. Damn, I'm going to read the first. And then we meet Casca, who's also a minor character in the first 3 books. And he's a drunk. He's a hammered mercenary who used to be Monza's boss. He's Monza's father figure, and he just so happens to be drunk in a ditch where the torturer knows exactly where he is, and he can be recruited. And they recruit Vitari first. Vitari and Monza go and find this. They find Ario's harlot, basically. Ario's like headmistress. Yeah, his headmistress, who's like in charge of his harem. I don't know. I feel like who knows? So they poison her, and they tell her, we'll give you the antidote in a week if you don't help us plan this party where we're gonna kill your mister. Is that the opposite of a mistress? Your mister. Or your employer. Who knows? Yeah. Well, okay, so when you read this for the first time, because I know this is a second read for you, like I immediately was like, I bet that poison's gonna be fake. Yeah. I was like, well, that's the classic Gambit, you know? Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm like, haven't any of these people read a book? No, they haven't. Probably not. No, they don't know. Books are probably illegal in Styria. So they plan this party, and they recruit all these crazy people. They're gonna have a band and like a fire spitter, and obviously whores. And there's like hundreds of people that live in Sepani that are, musicians and murderers. Yeah, it's just like you have to do both. That's what you do there. Depending on the season, You're either those or you're a whore. Yeah, or you're a whore. Yeah, and so they plan this party, and Foscar and Ario show up, but it's revealed. No, Foscar's not. It's revealed quickly that it's not even Foscar. It's the King of the Union. Yeah. So all this extra security comes that they didn't expect. Yeah, they're always like, who are all these people in like heavy chainmail? Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. So they start the show, and there's like a band, and then there's a fake fight between Shivers and this guy Greylock, who's a Northman they recruited, and something's up with him. Yeah, it's because he's got the stink eye for Shivers. Yeah. And it's found out while they're fighting that Shivers helped kill his Greylock's brother, earlier.
In a war. Yeah, so this is like the first of many other characters having dead brothers.
Yeah.
Which there's a certain point where I was like, was he just like I'm like curious as an author, like what point he was trying to make. He was like,
I think
everyone
it's like
had a dead brother.
Yeah, it's like
There's
revenge on revenge on like whose revenge is most important.
But I'm like, Joe must like have a brother that he's like, if anyone killed him, it would make me go insane.
I'm gonna write a book about how mad that would make me.
Essentially, because like no one's trying to avenge their parent or their sister. Like by the end, like almost every character has a dead brother.
Well, we forgot to mention that. That's what Shivers is still trying to be a good man, and the words that capture him and make him kind of go from this quest to helping Monza is she goes, they killed my brother. And Shivers' brother had been killed.
Yes, Shivers is a dead brother.
And that was something that was tough for him because he never got the opportunity to take revenge on the man who killed his brother.
No, he gave him mercy.
Yeah.
And then he kind of regrets it. Or he's trying to make it worth it.
Yeah. Exactly. He's trying to be the better man.
Yeah, so this is actually the second dead brother reveal.
That we've heard about. So they get
I wish I had an air horn. Brother reveal.
Dead brother reveal. So they get in a big old fight, and it quickly turns into a real fight. And then friendly, someone insults Friendly's dice and the concept of numbers not lying, and so that freaks Friendly out, and he splits someone's head open with a cleaver. So Friendly's in charge of like the gambling area.
Yeah.
So a whole brawl breaks out there with Friendly.
Really, everything goes off the rails because Friendly's got mad about his numbers.
Yeah. Well, because he's used to like being a convict, so they said that he was cheating. And I think in safety, as is like kind of a trope with most like prisons or gambling, illegal gambling, if you say someone's cheating, you better be able to like back it up. Yeah. So Friendly was like, "What the fuck did you just? I'm not cheating," and just without even thinking about it, goes back to full prison rules.
And he kills this guy.
And then meanwhile, Shivers and Greylock's fight is turned completely bloody, and then there's a fire breather who lights himself on fire.
Yeah, there's like, I will say, like, there's some there's some times where I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is foreshadowing. Yeah. And every single time, like, by the end of the book, I was like, oh, like, this person has, the same face as this guy. Well, that's their twin brother for revenge. It's just, it's right there. He really likes to put it out there. Because when they hire the fire breather. Yeah. And I think it was Shiloh's like, aren't you worried he's going to set the place on fire? And Nicola Koska's like, it'll be fine. And it's like, oh, okay, it's going to go up in flames.
So basically what happens is, and then the plan to assassinate Ario is that Monza and Shiloh dress up like prostitutes because Monza knows and Shiloh know that his big kink is one brunette and one redhead or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then what?
I missed that.
But then so what happens is our Ario doesn't go to the main place because the main guy there is Ario's outranked.
Yeah, he gets outranked.
So they give like the master bedroom suite to the king. And
the king gets the redhead and the brunette.
Yeah, and they're immediately like, "Oh shit, we can't kill the king.
Like the king of the union.
We're not here to kill. He's the most powerful person in the world." So they're like, so Monza smokes opium with the king.
She's like, "Why don't we get high?"
Yeah, and the king's like,
and he's like, your wife's a lesbian.
Yeah.
She's like, sweet dreams, your wife is gay.
And so they smoke together, and Monza pieces out, and tells him his wife is gay. And then, so here's a little reveal for you. That guy is the main central character of the first 3 books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much about him I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But so anyway, she like stumbles out and goes to finds Ariel's room, stabs him after he's like, "Oh, you've got a crippled hand."
Like, he's like, "Okay,
I'm into that." Like, and so
his short-term memory is terrible because this whole book happens in the case of a year, and it's like, "Oh, remember when you helped kill a woman and you kind of stomped on her hand?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Actually,
no, I don't." But he was drunk.
Oh yeah, he's
at that first scene. But anyway, she stabs him in the groin and then the throat, and then tosses him out into the main area of the party.
Subtlety ruined.
No, not at all. So basically, Shivers and those guys are fighting. Friendly's starting to kill everybody. A guy's lit on fire. One of the musicians takes his mandolin and smashes it over somebody, and there's an axe in the body of the mandolin. And then the guest of honor falls and splats in the middle of it all. And then the whole place just catches on fire.
It was like
chaos.
I feel beautiful. Like he was having fun writing this.
Oh my god!
Like he's like, ooh, and then
and like Ronco lights himself on fire, runs into a wall, and then falls down. It's just like slapstick.
It's comedy. Yeah. It's like a slapstick brutal scene.
And then meanwhile, Costco's like, can't be bothered. He's like, this is great.
He's like, this is what we wanted.
Yeah. So they kill Ario and barely escape. Shivers like ends up.
And Shivers and Monza have had sex once already by now.
They banged when Morveer was sneaking into the bank trying to poison everything. So we find out they're banging. So Shivers is like has another.
He got a crush on Monza.
Yeah, so
she's a fine woman.
He goes and saves her when she's in like a nice opium den in the top of the flaming building, and he tosses them out the back of the whorehouse.
This scene at this point, my brain was so overloaded with what was happening. I was like, okay, they're in one place now.
Yeah, you put it down for like at least a day after this scene.
Like, God, like I have a hangover.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so all right, and then at this point, I guess we just go through it. I really like the pacing of this. How you're just kind of like it's picking up steam at this point. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like all my morals are out the window. Yeah. I want to see her kill everyone. Everybody, we better.
I also felt like. I mean, at this point, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen when we get to Fosker? Because he's kind of a sympathetic character. He ran out when they were killing Benna. He said, I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah. And so he's out, and then we get introduced to a new character, right?
Shanked.
Yeah. So he's like this assassin fella.
He's cool.
Yeah, and we don't know who he is, and he's sent to kill Monza because Orso has found out that she's alive and that his son is dead. So they hire a bunch of assassins. So now...
We have like another kind of movie trope in here. First, it's like the Ocean's 11 meets Murder Revenge, and now it's like
the team of assassins.
The team of assassins, may the best one win, kind of thing.
So that's another that's like plotline C, I suppose.
Plotline L.
Yeah, L. And then they're on to the next person to kill, which is Ganmark, who's the openly homosexual general from...
queer representation, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's one of the things they say at the beginning. They're like, yeah, he's a great general. He got kicked out of the army for, like...
being gay.
Like, fucking men. We don't care. Like, this is Styria. Like,
That's like the nicest thing you can do.
Yeah, that's the best thing that happened at Styria.
Yeah.
Everything's horrible, but at least they're kind of woke. Yeah. Like, they have a season of war, but... you can fuck who you want.
Okay, a little bit of criticism here. I read the extras in the book, and he talks about how he wanted to write a female character, like have a lead, which I think he did a good job of. Yeah. But I do think he just completely sidesteps any sort of like meaningful interrogation of gender politics in his world.
Right.
Like there's times when Monza's like, yeah, I have to be like, I can't be like chill with the guys. I have to be like an asshole because I'm a woman, which is like makes sense for the style of writing because it's just her POV. But I was kind of curious, like we meet only one other female soldier, and like where there's like other women in there who are like torturers and involved in violence. So and it just made me curious to be like, well, how else does everyone like in the world see it? Like
like Styria is like the most egalitarian place, I'd say. And I think like in the Union there's very like structured like women are women and men are, it's like the old,
it's like very patriarchal
style, style of thinking. In the North they don't give a shit. It's just like if you can swing a sword, we'll do it. Like there's one of the warriors up there, her name is Wonderful, and she's
I love the names, they're fun.
Yeah, I love those too. They're really fun.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, you're right. He does, and in writing a female lead, he just basically he makes her very masculine.
I mean,
she's got a lot of like male qualities for sure.
Yeah, and what I was thinking at the end was like, I felt like, don't be mad at me.
I don't know.
But if if this character was a man, nothing about there would be like
barely anything
would change. Yeah. Like the sex would be different, and there would be like a handful of lines where
it'd be even more of a cooler book though, because he'd be
because
banging
boys
Shivers.
Are cool.
Well, no, he'd be banging Shivers the whole time. There'd be a bunch of gay sex instead of straight sex.
Well, so I think to me it's like reading so much fantasy, it gets a little like, okay, yes, we have quote unquote representation, but like I want to see it go a little farther. Right. If your character, but like, I don't know. I mean, that's just my bone to pick with it, or like an observation. It doesn't.
Yeah, I get you. He wrote a female lead, and
it doesn't matter that she's a woman.
It doesn't matter really that she's a woman.
But does that matter? You know, to go real meta. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I'd say he'd probably like defend it, being like, well, she would make a lot more different decisions and probably be like chummier with the people close to her and stuff like that if she was like a man.
That's a good point, because he does kind of nail like the character. She makes a couple remarks, but
about how she's a woman in power and kind of has to be.
Yeah, but you know, like given the world, it's like, okay, there's probably other instances that would be like for me being a woman, I'm like, okay, so she's around all these soldiers. How many did she have to kill because they tried to like hook up with her or like assault her or whatever? You know, like she's very above it all. Yeah, like she's a female, but she's in the way that it's not talked about. It makes it almost seem untouchable, which doesn't track with the rest of the way he wrote the world.
Yeah, because it's all real.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she's kind of this pinnacle of like power and confidence.
Yeah, so I felt like there's more there, but regardless.
No, I get you. It's good, and all right, well, yeah, it's a good.
Joe,
it's a good
call
analysis. Me. Yeah, Joe, come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast.
Defend your shit. Sorry. So yeah.
Now we're at Ganmark, right?
They're at Ganmark in Visserine, which is
we're doing like a world tour of Styria.
Yeah, which is great too. I loved that style.
Me too.
They went to basically all the different cities in the League of Eight or whatever. So Visserine is kind of like a open, kind of nice. It seems like it's a nice little quaint.
I'm like thinking
city.
Rome.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah,
I've literally never been there.
On a river.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so. They go and they know that Visserine is like the next place that Duke Orso will be, so that they know that the general is going to be there. So their plan is to be inside the city when the city falls, which is like a crazy plan.
It is so risky. They're like, we are going to the battlefield. He will show up. He's
we'll be
addicted
on the losing
to
side.
Yeah. We're gonna go where the paintings are.
Yeah. So this is a big
turning point.
Stop for Shivers, basically, because
sweet baby Shivers.
They're in the middle of having sex, and then the people from Visserine, like the guards,
the police arrest them essentially and accuse them of being spies
because they were holed up in a safe house of Monza's that she went in there and there were squatters and she let the squatters stay because she's kind of trying to be a better person maybe.
Yeah.
And then the squatters, betray them and Shivers gets his eye burnt out.
Oh my God, this scene, like, okay, when I'm talking about how I'm like sensitive, I was like, I can't stop thinking about that scene. Like that's when I had to take a break because I was like, oh my God, like
her panic, thinking that she was going to be like the next one burnt or something.
Oh my
like
God,
that
he wrote that really terrifyingly well.
Visceral, yeah.
Oh my God, it like made me I was just like, ew, oh my God, this is so bad. Like,
yeah, where she's like, she always thought she'd be tougher in this kind of situation, but she just immediately is just like,
he really nails the like humiliation that comes with experiencing, like, I assume pain like that.
Yeah, pain or near death and stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, we can just we can cruise right by.
No. I think it was a good. I mean,
it's important, but it's not like it's just basically Shivers goes from being an optimist, he gets his eye burnt out, and he's completely changed.
He's clearly like gets so much PTSD from this moment. Yeah. He's in physical pain, and I thought this scene really stuck with me also because I felt like it makes them almost like moral. I don't know if it's a moral commentary, but like, they're saved essentially because Nicola Cosca showed up to have dinner with the Duke. Everyone thought he couldn't get in by saying like, yeah, I'm here in town. The Duke's actually like, come on in. Where are your friends? Oh, they're getting tortured. Yeah. Let's go get them. And it's just kind of like the banality of violence that like Shivers' life is ruined. He's lost an eye for 30 seconds of a misunderstanding.
And they're all like, you'll get over it, buddy.
Yeah,
like, sorry about the misunderstanding.
Yeah, and it's like, it's kind of one of those like blink of an instant. This guy's life will change or whatever for the worse. And had they walked faster down the hallway, like maybe he would have had his eye. That's where my mind went.
Truly, yeah. Had Cosca gone to had they just believed Cosca, and he
gone with him
and been like, oh well, let's at least try your plan to get into the like the palace because you used to be famous. Well, so he's lost his mind, and their plan ends up like coming to fruition. Like their plan's kind of wild, but
it works.
Ganmark comes straight for Duke Salia is his name, right?
Salier.
Salier. Yeah, Salier of Visserine.
He was a fun character.
Yeah, this big fat art guy, and they spring a trap on Ganmark, and this is kind of when it comes to your point at the very beginning, where her getting thrown down a mountain and being arguably like disabled. It doesn't affect. She's able to duel someone who's known as like the greatest swordsman in the world,
and
maybe
like keep her shit
together. Although he could have killed her like a couple times, but he's kind of a gloating, arrogant bastard. And then Cosca comes in and they end up like
fighting him together
is, father-daughter situation.
Yeah.
And they drop a big old statue on him.
The melodrama in this scene was also high. He gets impaled by the very statue
that he was there to claim.
Yes!
Yeah, this like very rare statue. He gets killed by it. Casca basically...
He gets a death wound.
Yeah, he gets a wound to the gut, and we think he's dead. And then...
Your note on this chapter is, meanwhile, Shivers is maybe crazy now.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also a moment where Shivers is like killing a bunch... Like when they spring the trap, there's still a bunch of like soldiers around Ganmark. And basically Shivers kills like 15 people in a hallway. Yeah. Meanwhile, telling everybody he is death. Like screaming, I am the great leveler. Like I am... Like, so he's... lost it. He's like laughing the whole time. Like he's lost it. He's
lost it.
And violence is clearly an
choice.
outlet or an answer for his nuttiness. So they kill Ganmark and Casca dies.
And also when the chapters go to Shivers POV, it's like I kind of realized at the end, he starts off by quoting or to himself like all the noble guys that he fought with, and at the end he's just like, the Bloody Nine did this, and the Black Dow did this. Yeah. And it's like, those are the people that he said he was his villains in the beginning. So you see his moral allegiance is like...
Shift. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty smart, Chris.
Oh, good point from Claire. Surprising.
Okay.
All right, so we lose Casca, and then Friendly's basically like, shortly after, while they're like on their way to the next town, Friendly's like, I'm out as well.
Yeah.
And then Friendly walks down the road. I feel like in the book, it's like he literally walks half a block.
Yeah, I know. And then
Casca's like, what's up, my boy? Like,
I'm not dead.
I'm not dead. Pretty crafty of me. And then Shanked is revealed. Oh, that's a really cool scene.
Yeah.
It was before this chronologically, but where he kills everyone in Sejan's.
Oh yeah, he can put his whole finger through someone's eyeball.
Yeah, so it's clearly revealed he's got some powers, and
he's got some magical powers.
He
can like stop time or something.
Yeah,
I reread that part where he rips Sajam's heart out like a lot.
Yeah,
because I was like, what the hell just happened?
And is it revealed what he does with the bodies afterwards yet, or no?
No,
not yet.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, that's super cool. The way that scene works, some guy flips a coin up. And then while the coin is slowly spinning, he's super speeding all around the war room, like breaking people in half just by being like, and they anyway. Then what do we have? Then the next guy is, and then after we lose Friendly and Casca, there's another Shanked scene where Shanked kills all the mercenary or the assassins. He kills
all the other assassins.
So we're like, what's Shanked's deal?
Yeah, he kind of has something going on, and then he also doesn't. Well, he just misses Monza and Shivers, who are still boning.
And it's revealed at the end after he kills all the assassins, he takes one of the people's legs to eat. So he
get hungry.
He's a cannibal.
He's cannibal, time murderer.
This is a part when I read this, I was like, fuck, this is kind of important to know. It's revealed in the first series.
You can tell me.
When you eat the flesh of men, that's where magic comes from.
Oh my God, I hate this world. Yeah. I don't want to live here.
That's like where one of the sources. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's called an eater. And
I see.
so basically an eater like gives you long life, and you can move real fast and super strength basically.
Okay, interesting. And
so
all it takes is eating a person?
Yeah.
Hannibal vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And also at this point, the Shiloh, the torturer, she leaves. She's like, this is too political. Mm-hmm. And then it really does shift into full politics.
Yeah.
Because she allies then with Duke Regant, the hot Duke who, best line in the book, in my opinion, is when she shows up to meet him, everyone's being an asshole to her because she led the armies killing their people.
Yeah.
And she spits on one guy.
Yeah.
And then they all the attendees leave, and she has a one-on-one with Duke Regant, and he's like, you need to be a little nicer, and blah blah blah. She's like, oh, you're lucky I didn't spit on you. And he was like, if I was him, I would have asked for more spit.
Yeah.
I was like,
you're like, oh, weird. So he's weird.
I was like, he's horny. He wants to have sex with Monza.
Please spit on me, Monza.
He wants to be domed by Monza.
Yeah. So basically they come up with a trap where they are gonna like lure in faithful Carpi, who's her old lieutenant who helped kill her, and he was the one who like finally stabbed her. While the trap's being sprung, Day and Morveer get in a little fight.
Oh my god, this is also I feel like the book's action just gets exponentially more packed.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe we were almost at an hour and we still have
a little bit to go. Should we do a second part?
No, I feel like I want to do it in one.
Let's keep rolling. All right. Is that okay with you, Christine? All right. Shout out to Christine.
Shout out to Christine, our producer.
So Day and Morveer basically tries to serve them a meal. None of them take the meal because who would take a meal from a poisoner? That's kind of the last straw for him. He's like, we're super underappreciated. What do you think about going over to Orso? And earlier in the book,
Monza's like,
Monza
watch
was
out.
Be like, watch out. He's going to try to betray me for Orso. So Day tries to poison him with the king of poisons.
Yeah, which also reveals to be a trick that Morveer created so his apprentice wouldn't have all the secrets. So it's not even a poison, it's just water.
Yeah, so
and then he
kills her.
I know, I was bummed. I was like, I want a little more girl power. I want Day and Monza to be on a team together.
And the way she's killed is pretty sad. He nicks her with a little what she says is like a little poisoned razor, and then he's like, here, take the antidote, and then that's the real poison.
Yeah, so he's like, okay,
he's a psychopath.
Yeah, he's cruel. He's like, oh, I'm just like, no one appreciates me. And I'm like, yeah, you're evil murderer.
Yeah.
Like, you love to poison people. That's the only thing you like to do.
He's I don't know, it's like a narcissistic sociopath for sure.
Yes,
I think.
they all need therapy.
Yeah, bad.
Okay, the first thing I texted Chris about this entire book was Monza needs a foam roller. Like, the way he was describing her physical therapy in quotes, in the beginning of the book, I was like, oh my god, like,
ow.
Her fascia is really tight.
Yeah,
like, she
her
needs
IT band is getting calcified for sure.
She needs to do some yin yoga. Drop in the comments if you like to do yin yoga.
and if you could tell me what it is,
I won't tell. It's you lie around anyway.
Oh,
it's
great.
Good. It's good.
So they spring a trap on Carpy, and there's it's kind of a cool. They're like, we really haven't had a chase scene yet, so they do a horse chase scene, and they end up fighting next to a water wheel, and this is the worst death for me.
He gets the Saruman Two Towers movie edition treatment.
His cape gets sucked up in a water wheel, and he just gets kind of slowly drowned comes up for air and then drowned. Yeah. And then, is he impaled on something?
I feel like he's impaled. That's why I went Saruman, because remember, he falls off and he gets impaled. Yeah.
Well, so that seemed like the worst death to me, to get slowly drowned like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Drowned's not a word, but anyway.
It is now.
So he's killed, and then an important flashback happens. At the beginning of every part, they go back and show little vignettes of Benna and Monza. And
no sex between them.
What
the hell?
And it's revealed that they did actually steal this gold
that's been funding her
that's
whole
been
revenge.
funding the whole thing. And it's also revealed and at the very beginning, that's one of the reasons she was killed is where's this gold? Where's all that gold?
Yeah.
You never gave us the gold. And they're like, there never was any gold. And it's revealed she's been lying the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And so now I think in the flashback, the character of Benna, we're getting more revealed, and he's not that great.
He's a bad dude.
Set up. He's not, going out and fighting, but he's kind of like this nasty little behind the scenes
evil schemer.
And he promises this merchant and his family freedom, instead kills him and steals all his gold.
Money, yeah.
And he also set up Monza to take over the Thousand Swords, which is the name of the mercenary group, which is why in her and Casca, the old captain who was an alcoholic, had a falling out.
Yep.
And so you're kind of like,
most of her power moves are his power moves.
Yeah, and
she's just the face of them.
And she pays the price. And it's kind of like her and Shivers morally are actually pretty similar.
Yeah.
Where they're continually trying to have a conscience in this really fucked up world. But she's continually said yes to all these things that Ben has done because he's her brother, she loves him, and she can't afford to lose him or lose face.
Yeah. And her reputation is kind of all she has at that point.
And I kind of I was like, damn, we'll get to this at the end, I suppose, but I really wanted Shivers and Monza to have a real ass conversation because they have all these things going on inside them that are similar, but they never, he doesn't give us that little treat because emotional intelligence is not a core part of this world.
And the world, or this world.
Oh, that's true. I am on the dating apps, and I can tell you are correct.
It's barely there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so...
Yeah, so now we're getting to like it's kind of like, oh my god, she's gonna kill them all, and they have this huge battle.
Yeah, where Foscar is the general of the opposing army.
Yes.
And and this is there's an important part where after this, she tries to go, because the reason she's allied with Rogan is she's promised to be able to get the 1,000 swords.
Yes.
And then she goes to Casca, and Casca says, "Nah, baby, these are mine."
Yeah, he's the captain already, and is that a big chunk of money from Duke Orso in his tent? Yes.
So he's betrayed her completely.
Yeah.
And not that she deserves anything less. And this battle starts where it's Foscar, who's
Orso's
forces commanded by his only remaining son and Casca against Monza and her new ally Duke Rogan.
Yeah.
And then the battle starts, and it's revealed that Casca has taken even more money from the Gurkish / Rogan. And that's an important thing to note too, is the Gurkish are like the opposing force behind everything that the Union does, right?
Yeah. So obviously I've only read one book, but this is the moment where you're kind of like, oh, Styria is just like a play battle scene for the Gurkish Empire versus the Union. Yeah. They're always trying to fight each other, and so they're kind of meddling, and they both have a lot of money.
So the Union is backing Orso, and the Gurkish are backing Rogan.
And so they gave a lot more money to the 1,000 swords, and also interpersonally, the Carlot den Eider shows back up in Duke Rogan's court, and she's trying to get in with Shivers, who is blaming Monza for everything that happened to his eye. So they have like a pretty big divide.
And she plants some seeds and basically reveals what we thought the whole time, that she reveals that Monza and Benno were boning.
Yes. Okay. Well, here's the thing. This is
6 Shivers out.
Yeah. He's like, ew, but oh god, she's still hot. No, I was gonna say, like, this was not given the emotional weight it needed. Like, he brings it up to Monza later, and she's like, that's none of your business. And I was like, no, like, I need to know a little bit. I guess that's what I want in the story. Is like, I wanted to know like what. Like some like reveal, or her talking about like why they started hooking up at all, or like she doesn't even really confirm it. And to me, it's like, okay, if you're gonna have incest in your book, like, go full George R. R. Martin, like tell us why.
Let's explain the emotional baggage behind that.
Like that was such a big reveal, and then there was like no weight to it. I was like,
sure, yeah, I get you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little lame. It's a down note for sure. Because it's a huge reveal.
Yes,
and then
she's
like, "Fuck off!" Like,
and it's like, okay,
don't even bother me about that.
Did she?
Yeah. I think she did.
And I think she does, obviously, but.
Well, so basically, there's a big battle, and Shivers during the battle saves Monza, but you can tell he's very like conflicted.
It's weird.
And then also these forces that Rogan has allied with, the Sipanese show up. Mm-hmm. So there's a big battle, and Orso's forces are defeated.
Yeah, it's a rout. They're running away. They're dying.
They thought they were just going against Rogan, and they end up going against the 1,000 swords, the Sipanese, and Rogan. Mm-hmm. And so, and then what is? There's something that big happens.
They get Foscar.
Oh, and then there's a big sex scene right after too.
Oh yeah, a little switcheroo. Yeah, okay, he loves parallels. He loves having like these.
Yeah. He loves being like, look how smart and clever I am.
I know, it's a little, and it's like, come on.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I get you. I don't know why I love it. I'm like, yeah, be heavy-handed with that stuff.
Yes, that's the word. Yeah. It is so heavy-handed.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need subtlety. Just do it.
Basically, there's a switcheroo. You think they're having sex, like you think
with each other,
but Shivers is fucking Carlot Van Eater, and Carlot Van Eater. Okay,
that's fine. That was a fun
and
Chicago pronunciation. Carlot Van Eater.
Oh my god, best hot dogs. And then Monza is fucking Duke Rogan, who fulfills my expectations and is like, hurt me.
Please,
Monza spit in my mouth. Yeah, piss on me. And I was like,
she's like, I gotta go piss. And he's like, I'd say that's a waste of good piss.
Yeah. I love that. But truly, they have the exact same conversation. Each couple has the exact same conversations about either killing Shivers or killing Monza.
Yeah, and Shivers is like, maybe I will. And Monza's like, don't even ever bring that up ever again.
Yeah,
like,
see, this is why I want them to have a little convo.
I know. I think it's beautiful, to tell you the truth. I think it's well written because it's so like...
It's fun.
Well, it's just what happens in the real world. A lot of people have unspoken stuff between them that if they
Yeah.
just said it, it would change
God.
things. And books.
Wow. Okay. Is this Grey's fucking Anatomy?
Well, in books,
Like,
books always, those conversations always happen.
that's true, and he's not letting it happen for a reason.
And the reader, it's frustrating, but sometimes I think people hate that, feeling that as a reader. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's good.
I guess I can accept
you can leave it out if you want. Like it's just, I don't know. I think it was a device.
No, you're right.
Anyway, so Shivers kills Foscar.
Yeah, Monza hesitates to kill Foscar when they get him
Because he's like, I didn't want to do any of this. I'm a nice
he's
guy.
crying. He's like, I loved Bennett, and then Shivers like beats him to death, and Monza's like, okay.
All right. Well, there's that. I guess we're on to the next one.
And then we find out that Shanked is actually Vitari's husband.
Yeah.
Okay, horny.
So,
they have 3 kids together.
Yeah, so it's basically revealed that Shank's probably not trying to kill Monza.
No, he's not really a threat anymore.
Yeah, but he's still, for some reason, interested. And then we also find out in another flashback, a pretty important one, that Benna is the reason Monza has the name the Butcher of Capriel, because he got high and the mercenaries didn't have a leader and they just did what
they sacked the
savage
city.
people do. Yeah.
And that is why Benna sucks. And also Shivers has a flashback where he talks about why his brother sucks, and he's like, everyone's torn up about their brother, and then turns out all their brothers were assholes. Like Shivers' brother abused him. Benna like used Monza to do whatever he wanted. He had no conscience. Like, and so it's kind of just hammering in over and over, like doing things, like the pointlessness of revenge.
It's for the idea of it rather than the actual context.
It's all posturing. This is all about toxic masculinity.
Isn't everything Joe does?
I majored in sociology and painting. Can you tell?
Look at Joe's face.
Yeah, Joe's headshot.
Some toxic masculinity.
he's like, here you go, love. This is the Great British Bake Off.
Here you go, love.
God, my accent's terrible.
And the beginning of the big battle is also reveals revenge subplot X at this point, in which Casca is now going to kill all of his captains that betrayed him to Monza.
Joe loves to write action scenes. Like, that's the only explanation.
All action scenes. So he kills that guy in a little game of stab each other, which this was a funny line to me, where he stabs a guy and then Friendly just stabs the other guy in the room. Yeah. And he's like, well, why did you do that? And he's like, I was just following your lead.
I know. It's so funny.
That part's really funny. And this begins honestly pretty funny. They're like a hilarious duo.
Yeah, I love Casca. Like, if you have so far, like, God, this book feels like you are being dragged through a field of glass mentally. Well, you have Nicola Casca to make you laugh.
Well, we were drunk the whole time.
Yeah, and he's so funny. I love the way he writes him. Okay, let's try and do, like, the last bit. Because I still want to play our games. Okay.
The last act. So, yeah, and then, all right, sorry, I have to add this again. So it's another revenge on this. Is Morveer is contracted by Duke Orso to kill 7 men of his own, or 7 people of his own, which is
every head
crew.
of state and Monza.
Yeah.
Which, Monza's a head of state in the last chunk of the book.
After this battle, and after Orso's forces are defeated, she walks into Talon's, Orso's technical seat of power, and gets crowned the Duchess of Talon.
She's greeted like a hero.
Yeah, because Orso is basically off in his retreat that's outside the city, Fantesamo. And so she's royal now.
Yeah,
and
she's royal and has mixed feelings about it, and gives a really short speech, and you kind of get like a little bit of a taste of who she's going to be as a ruler. Yeah. When she's making her own decisions, when she doesn't have Benna to kind of force her to do this.
Peace, maybe? And everyone's like,
everyone's like, this rocks. And,
oh my God.
She seems like, I think it's cool. It seems like she's got it, obviously it's not going to go that way. Like, she's still going to be her. But, she is going to kind of get a little look out for the common man.
Yeah, because she was the common man.
And life is so miserable in this fucking hellhole. It's like, where is the DSA? Yeah. Where's the socialist movement?
So they go up to... This is the last and final person for them to kill, the big boy, Duke Orso. Yeah. And he's holed up in his Infantesimo, and the 1,000 Swords are laying siege, and they go blow up the castle wall, and Casca kills another one of his
little capitanos.
One of his captains in the thing. And then this is a cool, crazy scene. You text me in all caps about it. Morveer poisons the crown that they're going to use to crown Rogant with. and everybody dies except Monza.
Because all of the heads of state are crowning him, and guess what? Monza's wearing gloves to cover up her crippled hands.
Yes, and it's a contact poison.
It's a win for ableism,
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, so she, that's another that we needed a win.
God,
that's
it's problematic.
Sorry.
But she's just like, I don't want to see the hands.
Yeah, and so everybody's dead. Everybody dies except Monza. So basically, within the turn of a week, she goes from being a royal for the first time to being one of 2 royals in all of Styria. It's her and the guy she's trying to kill.
And she shows up at the palace.
Yeah.
She barely makes it through. Friendly saves her. Shivers finally snaps and is like, I will feel better if I kill you. I want my eye back. And she's like, bro, you're annoying as hell.
And then Shivers is like, I'm here to protect you. And then they duel.
No, Friendly.
Friendly, sorry.
They have a big duel.
That's a good duel that I didn't know I wanted to see.
Oh my God, it was really good. That was a really fun fight scene.
Super cool.
Orso and her finally face off, and we find out that fucking Benna was making deals behind Monza's back and was actually planning to betray Orso.
Yeah.
And then Orso finds out that Monza didn't know.
Yeah.
Monza kills him anyway.
Yeah.
And this was, again, my criticism. This needed more emotional weight.
I loved how it didn't. Because the little like
okay, him dying was fun.
She's so exhausted by the end of it that she's like, and then she achieves her goal, and then she realizes it doesn't make her feel anything.
Okay, I liked that part.
Yeah.
But I like her realizing that everything that happened was Benna's fault.
Oh, right.
That's the part where I was like...
Oh, I thought you meant her killing Orso.
Oh, no. I thought that was perfect.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, that's it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. I love it.
It's cute.
It's disappointing for both of them.
Yeah, and so I
But
felt...
yeah, her realizing that the person she did all this for didn't have her interests in his mind ever at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to.
Yeah, she should have been a little
weight.
more swimming under an ocean of realization there.
Yeah, like that needed payoff because Ben has been so important this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And like for her to just do this whole thing for this guy that sucks and not have like one or two passing, and she's just like, oh, that's Benna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill
right.
you now.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, that should have been a huge slap in the face.
So
and she just kind of took it and was like,
yeah,
well,
it didn't fit.
Yeah.
Especially because she like has all these kind of she has these moments of like wondering if it's all worth it, and for not to be present there, I was really disappointed.
And then it's revealed it wasn't worth it, and that's got to hit you harder than it did in the book.
I agree.
Okay, I agree with you. And so yeah, the whole book wraps up, and
we'll skip the epilogue.
Yeah,
it's satisfying.
Basically, it's a good ending. It's a nice ending. Monza is the leader. Shivers is going back to the north. She kind of does mercy and gives him a ring.
Yeah, she gives him Benna's ring.
Yeah, because she's like, fuck this. I don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't say everyone lives happily ever after, but
some people live.
Some people live, and Shiloh Vitari is part of Monza's like
ministry.
Yeah, she's like the minister of secrets, basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then there's a really important scene at the very end, basically where Shanked is kind of the man behind Monza's throne, and he
fucking saved her ass.
Yeah,
he's the creepy bone guy.
Yeah.
He's never gonna eat her.
That's a huge reveal too.
He wanted to save her. He's kind of an X factor, and then, she's kind of set up for having like some sort of semblance of a rule that might work.
Well, and then it's revealed. Then basically the Gurkish come in and they try to give them money and say, "We'll back you."
She says no,
and she says no. And then the Union come in and say, "We'll back you too." And then she says no. And Shanked kind of comes out from behind and goes, we are now the third player in the world. There's not just two big major powers. And then there's some moment there with the guy from the Union and Shanked.
He's an eater.
They recognize each other.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And they're both eaters, basically. They're both, that guy who we meet, he's the man behind the throne in the Union. And then Ishri, who's like that weird, turns her head like this.
Okay,
she's the woman behind the throne in Gurkel. So... Yeah,
okay,
so,
kill fuck Mary. I'm cutting you off.
Love it.
I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, sorry. I just love this
You're
world. I
just
can
like,
talk
Claire,
about it forever.
Here are the other things in this book that were really good.
Is it politics? But it is an important part. But you're right. Okay, Mary, fuck, kill, go.
Okay, Mary, Monza, fuck. No, Mary, Shivers, fuck, Monza, kill everyone else. They're all dead. They're all dead. That's it. I think Shivers could be a nice family man.
Yeah. I would probably marry Shivers too.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy.
Nice. I would marry Shivers and try to show him all the good things in the world.
Yeah. I'd take him right to EMDR therapy.
He's a great character. And then...
Who'd you fuck?
I would... I think I would fuck Carla than Ida.
She's a professional.
She's a professional, yeah, and she's, we got a little peek into what that would be like, and that seems fun. And then kill.
I'd fuck the Duke too. I'd spit in his mouth.
Oh,
Why not? Why not?
We just high-fived, and then Claire almost punched the microphone for episode 2 in a row.
All right, well, we'll be back.
Well, no, I have to kill someone. More Veer, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
You're right. I would also kill him.
Do you have anyone you would cast in anything? Anybody you pictured anything? Or do you...
Oh my God. Helena Bonham Carter as Shiloh Vitari.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That's like the number one. And I can't think of who would be Monza. Maybe like Kate or Mara Rooney.
That's a good one too. Holy shit. I think the only person I would cast, have you ever seen the show Vikings? No?
But I know it.
That's one of the guys in there I would cast as Shivers. He's like the second.
I feel like, oh my God, who
plays Rollo.
Rollo?
Forget the actor's name. Clive something.
Clive Owens?
No.
He's too big to be on the History Channel.
Clive Owens, maybe I would actually... Duke Rogan.
Yeah. And then, oh my God, what's the acting family? They're all in something. Alex.
The
he was in Pretty Little or Big Little Lie, one of the lie shows.
Exactly who you're talking about. They're like the Sigurjonsons or something like that. Is that who I'm talking about? Like they're like
Skarsgård. Yes, he would be in
Christine.
It something. Yeah, shout out to Christine. Okay.
Every Skarsgård.
I'm talking so fast because I'm worried we're over time.
Yeah. Okay. But no worries. What's up?
Oh, I was going to say, we're recording at the Lincoln Lodge. We're so happy to be here.
Yeah, we love this place. Big shout outs to the Lincoln Lodge. Come to their shows 7 nights a week. And what's our next book?
Oh my God, our next book is going to be just as bloody and violent as this one. Mossflower by Brian Jocks.
By Brian Jocks. We're going to see some tiny mice just ripped apart.
Yeah. So we're going to take a trip down nostalgia lane with Mossflower, and we can't wait to talk about it with you guys. So make sure you follow us and subscribe.
Yeah.
I'll be working on my accent.
You take care now.
You take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.